All right, we're back. Well, like I said, we're going to talk about Step Beyond Green. I'm Jonathan Snovic, the Executive Director of Step Beyond Green. We are a non-for-profit in the Milwaukee area that is out there advocating and educating people on indoor air, their indoor air environment, or their indoor environment in general, and the health of that. So I think I always like to start off my presentations with a video, and this video was developed by Velux Skylight Corporation. And I think it actually says a lot about what our current scenario is around the world and around in our homes and in our offices. So I want to start off here, and then we'll come back to why this all makes sense after the video.
This is a story about us, the indoor generation. A generation that spends 90% of its life indoors. It all started the day we left nature behind. We filled our homes with lovely things and all the stuff we wanted. Our homes became places you would never want to leave. Artificial light replaced daylight, and we built our houses so that nothing could escape. We cooked and showered, breathed and played, slept and sweated. But we had closed ourselves in to a point where nothing could get out. So when the air turned bad inside, we tried fixing it with chemicals. And we put in little artificial suns everywhere to make the darkness bearable. That's when things started to happen. Hard to notice in the beginning. Some needed help to sleep, to breathe, to not itch. Many of us even started to feel sad. So we turned on happy lamps to make the sadness go away. Then, scientists discovered that the air inside our homes is up to 5 times more polluted than the air outside. And that the lack of daylight can affect children's learning and increase blood pressure. It turns out that kids' rooms often have the highest concentration of toxicants in the house. In fact, millions of homes are unhealthy to live in. They discovered that living in damp and moldy homes increases the risk of asthma by 40%. And I learned that millions of people like me suffer from asthma and allergies caused by a bad indoor environment. And so, here we are. How the story ends is up to you, because it's not written yet. If you care about the indoor generation, do something. Begin to think and live differently. Let light and fresh air into your life again. Even small changes can make a huge difference for coming generations. Learn how at theindoorgeneration.com.
Wow. I mean, I think it gets me every time. If you really came into that a little bit late, you can go to indoorgeneration.com and watch that video in its full. But it really says a lot about how we spend so much time inside. And it really hits hard with what just happened with COVID-19. And I couldn't help but think about that video as I was sitting in my house for this time period going, wow, have I done the right things in my own home in order to ensure that my children that live there and my pets have a safe environment to live in? Wow, it gets me every time, which is really what Step Beyond Green is all about. Taking you way back 9 years ago, I was a full service general contractor. I got asked to sit down and do a sales call with someone who was interested in building a house. Not an unusual sales call for me, but they wanted to meet at a coffee shop, and I thought that was kind of neat. And walked in the door of the coffee shop and met this nice woman, and she said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to buy you the coffee." I said, "No. I'm it's a sales call for me. I'm going to buy the coffee." She goes, "No. This might be the quickest sales call you've ever had. So I think maybe I should buy the coffee." Okay, great. So I sat down with her at the booth, and we sat down. And she goes, "All right, well, I just have one question. And depending on how you answered that question, we're going to either continue the conversation or this is going to be the end of it and you're going to enjoy your coffee." I don't know about you, but anybody who is approached that way, I was a little taken back by all right, wow, this seems like a pretty serious question. I hope everything's okay. And she turns to me and in a very passionate way turns to me and goes, "I need to build a healthy home. Can you build me a healthy home?" I mean, this is 9 years ago, right? Word healthy, home. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, green. I mean, that was the thing, right? I mean, it was still starting to gain some ground, but green was there, and I have no idea what to tell her. I mean, I've never built a healthy home, nor do I even know what the words healthy home mean. I look right back at her and I go, I don't know how to do that, but if you're willing to take me on your journey, I'll do it with you. And her face has a sense of relief, and she looks back at me and goes, "You're the first one to not try and convince me to build a green home, or green's kind of a thing. I wouldn't really do it, or it's going to be more expensive." She said she had interviewed over 13 contractors. And I was the first one to look back at her with the same passion that she asked, or as concerned that she asked me the question with, and go, "I don't know how to do that, but show me and we'll do it together." And it was just that moment of my life, I realized, okay, well, what is healthy? And she went on to spend 3 years with me enlightening about people who have chemical sensitivities. It's called MCS. And she enlightened me about how that isn't just about those words. It's that everybody is affected by the environment in which you live in or work in or drive in. And then we can all relate to things like the new car smell, or I just installed carpet and that smell, or I opened a bottle of vinegar and I know what vinegar smells like. It's those things when you start to go, oh, are they okay? Are they healthy for me? Are they healthy for you? Are they healthy for the people I have around? I don't know. And so it was an incredible journey as we tried to explore, and she explained the amount of research that she had done and how she couldn't really work in an office environment. She really couldn't stay in a house. She had a young son at the time they were experiencing all kinds of health problems and in and out of the hospital, and they were running out of options. And we dug through, and she enlightened me to all of these things around the world that had been scientifically studied and proven, and yet no one was helping people. And I think that's the key, is that it's all been in the background. We've heard people with aluminum foil rooms, or we've heard some of the extremes. But the truth of it is that I would say over 90% of the population is affected in some manner by a sensitivity. And whenever I do these seminars, people go, it's not me. It's really not me. I'm not really affected by any of that. And if I say, well, do you have any allergies? Well, yeah, but they're allergies. Okay, well, how are allergies? How are you affected by allergies? By what the allergies are in the room or they're outside. So technically, as you get into that environment, you're affected by them. It's sensitivities to things too. Like if you lay on new carpet, I was convinced I had no sensitivity to anything, except that whenever I would lay on carpet, didn't matter how old or new it was, I'd get up and I'd see red rash on my arms. And in a matter of minutes, it would go away. And I didn't really think anything of it. But what I started to learn was that is a sensitivity to that. So it was really kind of neat. So that's how we got started. We ended up she got sick and we couldn't build her house. So we remodeled her house, and sure enough, she was all set. She was able to at least recoup in her house. And with that, we actually got her to work for Step Beyond Green for a while. And then she was able to work in an office space. So it's been great. And since then, it's been leaps and bounds for her, and she's excited about it. So that's how Step Beyond Green got started. It was an initiative within my design build company. And over the years, it kept growing and growing and growing. And now it's to a point where we started doing at expos. If you've ever been to the Metropolitan Building Association Expo in January, that giant house in the middle, that's been Step Beyond Green's location for 5 years. And we've been out there talking and educating the public about it. But we needed a bigger team. We needed contractors to get on board, because educating, and people know about this, but now and there's products that are out there that could help these. How do we get people to install them? And I think that was the key, is starting to figure out, okay, well, if we enlighten people, then how do they help? How do they get the services? How do you even engage that conversation with the contractor? So we have the advocacy and education on the public side, but now we have the education on the contractor side. So Step Beyond Green has begun a training process to help contractors understand, from the salesperson to the last person in warranty and their entire company, how to start in having healthier environments for their employees, but also how to start talking healthy to people who don't know how to ask the question. We don't know, if someone walks in my house, what's healthy and what's healthier and what's okay and what's the norm, and help me make a decision that's right for my family and for me. So another arm of us is actually training contractors and getting them together and keeping them up to date on training. It's not just a one-time training. And as the world changes and the products come out and things are more aware, we're constantly evolving the program. So we have one arm that takes care of out there with seminars and public, and getting the information and talking to people. You guys all have the stories out there. And so every time we hear another story, we bring it back to the team and we start to analyze, okay, well, how can we solve that? Or is there something that we can? There are so many people out there in the world today, so many companies, so many contractors that have healthy pieces they're doing. It's our job at Step Beyond Green now is to meld these together so that the public has some place to go to in order to get connected with like-minded contractors and products that can help us build a healthier home and healthier office environment. And it's really what we're all about. It's kind of neat. Some things I always like to kind of wrap things up with, well, what are some healthy things, or what should I be looking for in my own home that maybe aren't? I always say, like, things like when you're going to buy paint, if you hear things like no VOC or low VOC or organic paint, I mean, those are things that you could start right off the bat with. Those are some of the easy ones. Ventilation's a big one. Understanding ventilation. We're going to hear later today from specifically talking about attic ventilation, but just ventilation as a whole, understanding that the whole house has to work together. It's not just a system, it's all the systems working to purify that air and to get air movement. And so we don't have any toxicity in there. So HVAC is going to be your furnace, there's so many things now with blue light and ionizers and HEPA filters and, ERVs. There are all kinds of neat things that are out there that can help. When we can't put the right products in our home, can we actually start to clean them? Other things like water filtration. We have a specialist that's in one of the booths below, water doctors, who deals with people that have had health issues, and they've got amazing stories that you could ask them about how they've helped people that couldn't touch water, or the chlorine in our water and what it's doing in drying our skin, and understanding too well systems and what we're pulling from the water and how we're doing it, how you have to not only cleanse it, but you have to put something back in it in order to make sure it doesn't become, pick up other things. So, I mean, water is a big one. I think the bigger buzz that's going on right now is electric, EMFs and how that's affecting us electricity wise. But also right now we've got the 5G coming to town, and there's some controversy over the 5G and what's going on with that. So low voltage and Wi-Fi's and how this is all affecting us. And it's all fascinating on the global scale. But the truth is, how does it help? How do I narrow it down? How do I get a source that can help me understand it in something that's plain English? And that's what Step Beyond Green is here to do. We're working with other organizations around the United States as well as around the world to help filter this information down to something that it can make sense to people. Some of the easier products too, when you're thinking about remodeling or upgrading, think about hard surfaces for floors, but also countertops. Be looking at all the different product lines, even as far as plumbing product lines. Kohler's in a booth below, they have it's more metal, less plastic. We're trying to take all that ability for the toxins to get into our water stream through better products. So it's really exciting. That's just a small piece of how I explain what it is. And anybody that's sitting out there right now that actually knows me goes, how did he do that in 15 minutes?